Welcome aboard! Have you ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes at a company like Nintendo? Sure, we all know about the games, but there's a whole world of strategy that gets them into players' hands. The truth is, internal documents are the unsung heroes of video game history. They might not be as flashy as long-lost prototypes, but they're just as important. They reveal how companies navigated the retail space and shaped customer experiences. While businesses rarely make these documents public, when we do get our hands on one, it offers a rare glimpse into how a company like Nintendo was strategizing at a key moment in time. That brings us to Nintendo Merchandising Incorporated, or NMI. As the team responsible for making Nintendo products stand out in stores, NMI played a key role in shaping the iconic retail presence we associate with the brand today. So what exactly did they do? And why was their work so important? Let's open this NMI manager's book and find out.
In today's ever-evolving retail world, getting a product onto store shelves is only the beginning of the journey to making real sales. With fewer manufacturers but bigger industry giants, more retail locations than ever, and the rise of self-service shopping, products don't sell themselves. They need to be seen. That's where the Nintendo Field Merchandiser comes in. Their job? Make sure Nintendo's products are in the right place at the right price and looking their best. Store employees have a lot on their plate, and they aren't focused on pushing any one brand. That means without the right attention, Nintendo's games and systems could be overlooked or even shoved into a corner next to a Sega Saturn. Simply put, the Field Merchandiser is the last link in the chain, the difference between a game sitting on the shelf and a customer taking it home. Every store visit is an opportunity to educate staff. We strive to make sure that retailers see Nintendo as the gold standard in the industry. Our job doesn't end when the product is on the shelf. We make sure feedback gets straight to Nintendo to make our games and systems the best they can be. And to do all that, we need a team that's ready to tackle any retail challenge. Because at NMI, great merchandising isn't just about selling games. It's about creating an experience that keeps customers coming back.
Nintendo understood that their product was top-notch. They already knew American customers loved their games and would gladly pay up for anything with the Nintendo name on it. But relying on brand loyalty alone wasn't enough. Growth was the real goal throughout the mid-90s. By this point, Nintendo had decisively beaten Sega, but in the interest of really dominating in the market, they refined how they reached customers. They shifted towards a strategy that capitalized on emerging sales and marketing trends: impulse buying. When people are placed in an environment that's overstimulating and overwhelming, they become subject to a psychological phenomenon known as choice overload. Too many options can make it harder to decide, often leading to snap judgments and impulse purchases. Nintendo understood this and took full advantage of it. Their in-store displays were deliberately designed to be totally immersive and almost overstimulating. The more time a customer spent in the Nintendo section, the more likely they were to walk away with a game or system. The Field Merchandiser was crucial in making sure that all of this stayed as functional and effective as possible. They were the frontline representation of corporate Nintendo. Every interaction with retail staff shaped how Nintendo was perceived, making professionalism, knowledge, and reliability just as important as the displays themselves. They were reinforcing Nintendo's brand image at arguably the most important point in the sales process, right before a purchase was made. The Field Merchandiser's job was about control. Nintendo wasn't leaving anything to chance. They weren't going to rely on overworked, understaffed, and undertrained retail employees, much less managers who saw their products as just another item on a shelf. They wanted their games and systems to stand out, and they had to be their own biggest advocates.
Now that you know what we're all about here at Nintendo Merchandising Incorporated, it's time for you to show us what you've got. As a future representative of Nintendo in retail stores across the country, we want to make sure you're ready to put your best foot forward. Here at NMI, we don't just hire anyone, we hire the best. And today, we're going to show you how to prove that you are exactly what we're looking for. We'll start with your background. Do you have experience setting up displays or using creative problem solving? Tell us about it. And don't forget, Nintendo values organization. If you've ever juggled multiple responsibilities and kept everything running smoothly, make sure to highlight that.
So, tell me about a project you worked on and how you ensured its success.
When I got an order for a cheeseburger at Burger Palace, I took it upon myself to make sure that there was cheese in the burger.
This isn't really what we're looking for, but hopefully you'll have something a bit more sophisticated on your resume.
In this role, you'll be responsible for visiting multiple store locations per week. Have you worked in a job that required travel or time management before?
When I was a Girl Scout, I would visit multiple houses a week selling Thin Mints. I had to manage my time by making sure only half the visit was spent eating said Thin Mints.
Well, that's one way to, manage your time. Moving on, at Nintendo, we want people who take pride in their work. Maybe you recognized a messy display without being asked. Maybe you found a way to improve store layouts to boost sales. Whatever it is, we want to know how you take initiative.
Can you give me an example of a time you went above and beyond to improve a project?
I was hired to mourn at someone's funeral, and I wailed so loudly that they asked me to make a speech. I didn't know the guy, but I was able to convince them that I was his ex-lover.
Now that's what we're looking for. If you can show us that you're self-motivated, adaptable, and eager to make an impact, you'll be in great shape. Remember, an interview isn't just about answering questions. It's about showing us what you bring to the table. So go in prepared, stay confident, and show us why you'd be the perfect fit for Nintendo Merchandising Incorporated. Now get out there and land that job.
Looking at the questions asked in an interview tells us exactly what Nintendo wanted from its NMI employees. Like any publicly facing job, they had to be organized, personable, and able to think on their feet. But more than that, they had to understand that they were the face of Nintendo at the retail level. They were hiring brand ambassadors. A lot of the questions revolved around initiative. How do you handle a difficult store manager? What do you do when a display is damaged? Nintendo needed these employees to take ownership of their territory. If something was wrong in a store, it was the merchandiser's job to notice it, fix it, and make sure it stayed fixed. Several questions hint at the idea that merchandisers needed to think like marketers, creating eye-catching setups to maximize sales. Because self-service shopping was becoming more common, products needed to sell themselves. Merchandisers existed in part to guide customers' decisions. And the final question, about motivation and career goals, were about making sure that they actually cared. Nintendo needed people who took pride in what they were doing. At the end of the day, NMI was more of an extension of Nintendo's brand identity than it was a logistics operation.
Congratulations! Against all odds, you've managed to pass your interview and are officially an NMI representative. Before we send you into the wild world of retail, let's talk about what really matters: maintaining Nintendo's image on the front lines. Step 1. Act like you belong here. No smoking, no snacking, and definitely no personal shopping. You're the public face of Nintendo, so dress the part and keep a good attitude. Now, let's do some roleplay. Here are some do's and don'ts of store calls.
This is your first visit to merchandise a Walmart store. You introduce yourself to the store and department managers. Through your conversation, it is apparent that the department manager is upset with the job performance of the previous Nintendo merchandiser. The previous merchandiser did not receive permission to move product, nor did he or she visit the store on a regular basis. How would you build rapport with this department manager? Do. Stay professional. Listen. Acknowledge their frustration and assure them that you are here to make things right. Show them that Nintendo takes their concerns seriously and follow through. Don't say, "Oops, sorry," and then pee on the floor. You'll stain the linoleum. Again. You very innocently overhear a store clerk speaking with two teenage boys. As the clerk relays information pertaining to both our product and the competitor, you're surprised to hear her recite erroneous information that makes our product seem inferior to the competitor. The boys are still undecided and leave the store saying that they will be back in tomorrow with their decision. In an effort to be non-confrontational, how would you explain to this clerk that their information about our product is inaccurate? Do. Approach them afterwards, keep it friendly, and say something like, "Hey, I overheard that conversation. Just wanted to give you the latest info on that game so you can pass it along next time." Don't pull out your concealed NES zapper and pretend to shoot the clerk's head, all while yelling, "Why isn't your head exploding?" You noticed unlicensed product displayed in a world case at Sears. You asked the department manager if it would be alright to move the unlicensed product to a different shelf or area. He or she does not want you to move it, as he or she wants all Nintendo products grouped together. How would you convince him or her to move the unlicensed product out of the case? Do. Explain that keeping only licensed Nintendo product in the Nintendo section ensures customers get the best experience, reduces returns, and keeps everything looking sharp. A little education goes a long way. Don't tremble with rage while your face turns red and steam pours out of your ears. Remember your therapy. You'll get through this.
Looking at these anticipated scenarios and FAQs reveals a clear picture of what Nintendo merchandisers faced in the field. If these issues made it into the handbook, they were significant enough that NMI wanted employees fully prepared. One of the biggest recurring themes is damage control. Many of these roleplay scenarios revolve around fixing bad impressions. These merchandisers weren't merely stocking shelves, they were frontline troops, defending Nintendo's image in a constant battle for attention. In fact, the emphasis on impulse buying mentioned earlier ties directly into this goal. If an NMI rep happened to be there to assist a customer, fantastic. Still, they had to ensure that setups worked independently, especially since all stores only got a visit once a month. At the same time, merchandisers had to walk a fine line with both store employees and customers. They were often stuck between corporate rules and retail bureaucracy. They couldn't override store policies, but were still expected to represent Nintendo effectively. That meant a lot of careful negotiation, asking managers to remove unlicensed games, securing prime shelf placement, or even pacifying frustrated customers without making promises that they couldn't honor. This paints a portrait of an era when Nintendo fought hard for dominance in retail spaces. Their battle unfolded in the aisles of every major retailer, relying on the merchandisers to earn Nintendo a win.
Well, you've done it. You've successfully completed your training as an NMI representative. From store calls to display setups, you've learned what it takes to keep Nintendo front and center in every retail space you visit. But remember, your performance doesn't end when the training does. You'll be evaluated monthly, so make sure to review your performance summary sheet and stay on top of any focus areas. The more consistent you are, the stronger our brand presence will be, and that's what NMI is all about. Thanks for watching this training series, and welcome to the team.
Thank you so much for watching, if you made it this far. And if you did, and you're not subscribed, dude, click that button, it's so easy. You'll get this type of stuff like once a week. 1,000 of you guys already did that, which by the way, my God, never thought that would happen, but consider this the 1,000 subscriber special. Again, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all highly, highly appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.